Hey Dr. Brooks, Rachel here, just doing the vlog for Lab 3, the PNF report. The first question that I'm going to be talking about is describing a case where I could use PNF for strength. And I initially had a player that we have right now who, he's our quarterback. He has kind of weak shoulders pretty much after he's thrown a few balls. He kind of complains just about like an overall tiredness, and he's been tested and evaluated. He doesn't really have any loose ligaments. I honestly think he's just kind of weak. He's only a sophomore and he's playing on varsity football, so I think he just hasn't been trained for playing varsity football, even though it's only for 3A with Littlefield. But I think PNF could be a really good thing for him just to kind of build up that strength that he isn't used to yet. I thought that I could do resisted PNF stretching, where like the X that we've talked about, where they start here and they resist forwards and backwards. I would do something like that with a pretty high resistance, not initially, kind of starting out easier, working harder, doing this daily if allowed, just seeing if he's sore or if he's in any pain, but just to work on that range, that all over range of motion and shoulder strength that I think he's lacking in. I could do something just to increase strength. So like I said, eventually getting to a high resisted, high load, 3 sets of 5 reps initially, and then working up from there. I think this would be really effective because he's not used to stress on the joint, especially with Littlefield. They don't really do minch weights. They just do a lot of practices. And so he's not really gaining any strength in the area. He just throws a ball and they don't really lift, or if they do, it's just for a few minutes. And so I think it could really benefit him. The next case is PNF for mobility. And then I thought of our running back at Littlefield, and he is notorious for just instantly coming off the sideline and asking to be stretched out, and partially due to cramps, which that's a hydration issue, so that's kind of different. But he also does have very tight hamstrings, and so it makes it difficult in the middle of games whenever he wants to be stretched and we have other things to do. So I thought that maybe some contract relax PNF would benefit him, aside from talking to him about hydration and all that stuff. But I think this could be helpful because they use their own muscles, and so their own body is learning how to become more flexible over time. I would want to do this daily as well, starting off small where he feels that, and then tracking his progress and showing him that when we do perform this PNF stretching daily, show him how much farther even after a week that he's progressed, and show him ways that he can continue to do that on his own. I would start with mild resistance and then work my way up to a more moderate resistance, even progressing to a very firm resistance. So I think that would really benefit him. Just something kind of standard, 3 sets of 8 reps, and then seeing how he tolerates that in the beginning. I was also going to talk about the same running back for the third question, about documentation and developing a problem list. I know with high school athletes that a problem is compliance, and I could see a 16-year-old athlete saying, oh, my hamstrings are good, I don't need to do it anymore. And so chronically, if he did only do it for a little bit and then just instantly stopped and never went back to it, his hamstrings are going to eventually get tight again, and he's not going to have any of that range of motion that we just worked so hard to get. So this could eventually affect all of his aspects of daily life. If your hamstrings are so tight you can't bend down to tie your shoes, that's kind of an issue. So I think just constantly reminding him that it is something you have to maintain, but it gets easier over time because you have increased that range of motion. A short-term issue I've also thought with this whole compliance problem would be not seeing any results. And so he might do it for a couple days, and if he only does it 2 days, he may or may not see really any progress, and then he wants to quit. And so just reassuring him that it has to be something that you really keep up with, and it is something that you have to put forth the work, and it is tiring, and you might be sore, and you're gonna feel a stretch, but that's okay, and you just have to maintain it. So I worry that those 2 issues, just kind of with the compliance aspect, would be potential problems. But I think talking to him and just being open, explaining things, showing him evidence would maybe help in the long run. The last question was strategies for these problem lists. I said a short-term plan would, if he was avoiding doing the PNF stretching because he didn't see any of the results, was to explain to him the importance and show him that, well, let's try it for a week and then see. And then hopefully with doing it consistently for a week, I could track his range of motion and his degrees, show him that it is increasing. I could also start to incorporate things such as manual therapy, whether that's Graston. I asked him something like that. Heat, if he is just kind of complaining and wants something to feel good to help him get in the mode to do PNF, I could put some heat on there. E-stim, again, kind of if he's complaining about soreness or he just doesn't feel good, and anything to just help kind of that mental aspect of helping him feel better in that area, or even a Theragun, same kind of thing, just to loosen up the muscles and show him that there are other things that he can do as well as PNF stretching. And when you incorporate all of them together, you see the results, which is the same kind of thing for a long-term solution. I would just show him more things that you don't have to have in an athletic training room. So say after graduation, he doesn't play sports, but he still wants to keep it up. You could do something like just a strap or even a towel or belt type stretching, rolling with a tennis ball, and then still using that PNF that he's learned over time, how to do it himself or against a wall or with a friend, things that he doesn't have to have in a training room with Theragun or E-stim or anything like that. But yeah, I think that overall, PNF can be helpful for different individuals and different aspects of things. I didn't know it could be incorporated in so many different ways when you think of stretching. I know before it was just something I thought that you do before a workout a little bit and you do after workout just to help with soreness. But I really think it's good, and I think that it can help all types of people. So I appreciate it, and that is my lab report.